The night was heavy with smoke and fire. Stars could not be seen in the black sky, and the ruins of the alien city stretched endlessly, broken towers like skeletons reaching upward. A human man walked alone through the silence, his boots crunching on broken glass and ash. His name was Henry. He had survived many battles, but tonight felt different. Tonight, something unseen was following him. The wind carried whispers. At first, Henry thought it was the sound of the collapsing ruins, but the words grew clear. "Come closer, human. We are waiting." The voice was not cruel, but it was not gentle either. It was something strange, sweet, dangerous, and filled with hunger. Henry tightened his grip on the small laser pistol at his side. He had faced soldiers, beasts, and machines, but this voice cut deeper than any weapon. It spoke directly to his heart, pulling him forward against his will. At the center of the ruins stood a circle of glowing symbols carved into the ground. They pulsed like living veins of fire. Henry froze, his instincts screaming danger. Yet his legs carried him closer. The whispers grew louder. The circle lit up, brighter and brighter, until it blinded him. Then she appeared. Out of the fire rose a figure, tall and graceful, with wings darker than midnight. Her eyes glowed crimson, her skin shimmered like molten bronze, and her long hair flowed as if alive. She was beautiful, but her beauty was the kind that could burn a man's soul. A succubus, though Henry had only heard the name in forbidden stories. The succubus stepped forward, her bare feet never touching the ground. She smiled, but behind the smile was a blush, as if she herself was shy of the human staring at her. Her voice was velvet, sharp yet soft. "You are the one who called me. You are the human chosen to receive my gifts." Henry's heart pounded. "I didn't call you," he said. "I was only passing through." She tilted her head, her eyes studying him. "It does not matter. The bond is formed. By the law of my kind, I must grant you 3 gifts. Ask and it shall be yours." For a long moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Henry's mind raced. Gifts? Wishes? Every story warned that such deals came with a price. But the succubus stood before him, glowing, her wings stretching wide, waiting. He could feel her power like a storm pressing against his skin. But something was strange. She looked nervous. Though her body was the image of strength and beauty, her lips trembled when she spoke again. "Ask your first gift, human. But be careful, for once spoken, it cannot be taken back." Henry studied her carefully. She expected him to ask for wealth, for weapons, for power. Her kind had been summoned by greedy kings, alien generals, and warlords before. But Henry was different. He had lost everything: friends, family, even his home. He had nothing left to wish for. Except one thing. His voice was steady. "My first gift. I want you to sit beside me. Not as a demon. Not as a goddess. Just as a woman." The succubus blinked. Her wings folded in shock. The red glow of her eyes softened, and for the first time, she looked unsure of herself. "You want me to sit?" "Yes," Henry said simply. "No tricks. No power. Just sit with me. I've been alone too long." Her blush deepened, spreading across her bronze cheeks. She, a creature feared across galaxies, felt her strength falter at the human's request. Out of all the things she had heard: lust, greed, hunger, this was the first time someone asked only for company. Slowly, almost carefully, she lowered herself beside him on the broken stone. The circle's glow dimmed, and the night grew quiet. The succubus folded her wings tight, stealing shy glances at him. Henry said nothing more. He only looked at the horizon, dark and endless. And she, the demon who could have destroyed him, sat silently at his side, her face burning with a strange emotion she could not name. The whispers in the ruins faded. For the first time in ages, the succubus was not the hunter. She was the one being seen. But in the shadows, unseen eyes were watching them both. The circle had been opened, and once a succubus granted her first gift, others would come for the human enemies, both alien and divine. The night was only beginning. The ruins grew quiet after the succubus sat beside Henry. For the first time in years, silence did not feel like loneliness. It felt alive. The succubus, her wings folded, her glowing eyes dimmed, looked almost human now. She shifted uncomfortably, her bronze cheek still touched with red. As though she had never been this close to someone who wasn't afraid of her. Henry sat calmly, his pistol resting in his lap, but untouched. He wasn't thinking about weapons. He was thinking about how strange it was that he, a simple man, could sit shoulder to shoulder with a creature legends had called Destroyer of Worlds. He broke the silence first. "You expected me to ask for power," he said, not looking at her. "Or gold, or something darker." The succubus lowered her gaze. Her long hair slid forward, partly hiding her face. "Yes, that is what men always ask of me. They want weapons, armies, immortality. They never ask for this." Henry smiled faintly. "Maybe they never felt what I felt. Walking alone, with no one left. Maybe power means nothing when you've lost everyone." Her blush deepened, and she bit her lip, struggling to hold his gaze. She wanted to appear strong, unshaken, but something about the human's request pierced her armor more than any blade. For a long moment, they sat in silence again, side by side on the broken stone. The ruins no longer felt empty. But beyond the circle, the shadows stirred. Shapes moved in the distance, low and fast, like predators circling prey. Henry noticed them first. He gripped his pistol, his eyes narrowing. "We're not alone." The succubus's wings flared slightly, her blush vanishing, replaced by the sharp glow of crimson eyes. "They come quickly," she whispered. "I should have known. What are they?" Henry asked, rising to his feet. Her voice was low, serious now. "Hunters. The watchers of the circle." When a succubus grants her first gift, the balance shifts. The guardians awaken to test the bond. If you survive, you may claim the second gift. If not, Henry didn't need the rest of the sentence. He raised his weapon as the first creature leapt into the faint light. It was tall, bone-white, with limbs too long for its body. Its head was faceless, only a mouth stretching from ear to ear, filled with needle-like teeth. More followed, crawling over the ruins like spiders. Henry fired. The laser burned through the first creature's chest, dropping it instantly. But 3 more charged forward. He stepped back, firing again and again, but for everyone that fell, 2 more appeared. The succubus watched him, her fists clenched. Her law bound her. She could not interfere, not unless he asked. That was the price of the gifts. She trembled, torn between duty and a feeling she did not want to name. Henry's pistol hummed empty. He cursed, pulling a knife from his belt as another creature lunged. He slashed its throat, rolling aside as its black blood splattered across the stones. More were coming. Too many. The succubus stood, her voice breaking. "Ask me, Henry. Call for your second gift. I can end this." But Henry only shook his head, panting. "Not yet. I don't want to waste it. If I can fight with my own hands, I will." Her heart pounded. Why was this human so different? Why did his refusal hurt her more than any chain? Henry stabbed another creature, but claws raked across his arm, tearing through his jacket. He staggered, bleeding, surrounded by monsters that shrieked an unholy chorus. At last, one leapt at him from behind. Too fast, too close. The succubus gasped, her body moving before her mind could stop it. Her wings flared wide, her form blazing with fire as she struck the creature out of the air with a single slash of her claws. It crashed into the ruins, broken. Henry turned, shocked. "You..." Her chest heaved, her face pale. "You didn't ask." "I wasn't supposed to." "But She stopped, trembling. She had broken her own law. For him, the other creatures hesitated now, hissing but wary of her unleashed power. Slowly they began to retreat, melting back into the shadows. The ruins grew quiet again, though the circle still burned faintly beneath their feet. Henry wiped the blood from his arm, breathing hard. He looked at her, and for the first time, he saw fear in her eyes, not of the monsters, but of herself. "You saved me," he said quietly. She shook her head. "I shouldn't have. The law will punish me. A succubus who acts without request. It means my power will weaken. And you, human, you will be hunted even harder now." Henry stared at her. She looked so fierce, wings stretched and glowing with fire, yet so fragile as she lowered her head, shame burning in her. "Then we'll survive together," he said simply. She blinked, stunned. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not with command, not with worship, but with trust. For the first time in her long life, the succubus felt something strange twist inside her. Not hunger, not pride. Something far more dangerous. And somewhere, in the shadows beyond the ruins, a new voice whispered. One colder, stronger, and far deadlier than before. The circle had only begun its game. The ruins lay still after the battle. Smoke curled upward from the black blood of the creatures. Henry pressed his torn arm, the pain sharp but bearable. He had fought wars before, but nothing like these faceless hunters. His chest rose and fell, each breath heavy. The succubus stood a few steps away, her wings half folded. Her eyes glowed faintly, not with power, but with worry. She had broken her law by saving him. She should have felt shame. Instead, she felt something far worse, fear of what would come next. Henry glanced at her. "So, now what?" She hesitated before answering. "The law of my kind is clear. 3 gifts must be granted. You asked for the first. I broke the rule by acting before your second. The balance is broken. Others will come to fix it." Henry frowned. "Others? You mean more monsters?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Not monsters. My sisters." The word carried weight. Henry didn't fully understand, but he knew enough. If the hunters were only guardians, her sisters would be something much worse. The succubus wrapped her arms around herself, her wings trembling slightly. "They will not forgive me. To them you are prey. To me." She paused, unable to finish. Henry wiped the blood off his knife. "Then we'll be ready. I don't scare easy." She stared at him, shocked by the calm in his voice. Did he not realize what he was saying? Facing her sisters was like standing against fire itself. Yet he spoke as if survival was possible. They moved together through the ruins, searching for shelter before dawn. The city had long been dead, its towers broken, its streets filled with ash. Finally, they found a half-collapsed temple, its roof cracked but still standing. Inside, moonlight filtered through the broken ceiling. Henry sat down, breathing hard, and leaned his back against a stone pillar. The succubus stood near him, restless, pacing like a caged beast. "Sit," Henry said. His tone was calm, steady, the same as when he first asked his gift. She froze, surprised. Then, reluctantly, she lowered herself across from him. The temple was quiet, only the sound of distant wind. Henry studied her carefully. "You keep saying law this, balance that. But you broke it for me. Why?" Her cheeks warmed again, though she tried to keep her voice steady. "Because, I don't know. You asked for nothing but company. You looked at me as no one ever has. When I saw you bleed, I couldn't stay still." Henry smiled faintly. "So even demons care, huh?" Her eyes widened at the word care. No one had ever accused her of such a thing. She wanted to deny it, but the heat in her chest betrayed her. She lowered her gaze. For a long time neither spoke. The temple air grew colder. Outside, the ruins seemed to whisper again, though this time the voices were sharper, filled with anger. The succubus's eyes darted toward the doorway. "They come," she whispered. Henry reached for his weapon, but she shook her head. "No blade will help you now. This is not their test. This is judgment." A shadow fell across the doorway. 3 figures stepped inside, each with wings darker than night, their eyes burning like molten fire. They looked almost like her, but colder, sharper, without a trace of softness. The tallest one spoke, her voice like steel. "Sister, you have broken the law." The succubus lowered her head, trembling. "I could not watch him die." The second figure sneered. "You gave your power to a mortal? For what? His soul? His body? Or something weaker?" Henry stood, glaring. "If you've got something to say it to me." All 3 turned to him, their gaze like knives. The tallest stepped forward. "Human, you are nothing but dust. And yet you have pulled one of us into weakness. For this, the circle demands balance." Henry kept his stance firm. "Then let the circle test me, not her." The 3 sisters exchanged glances. Then, to Henry's surprise, they laughed cold, cruel laughter that echoed through the temple. "So bold," the tallest one said. "Very well. The second gift will be tested. If you survive, the third will come. If you fail, she will pay the price with her soul." The succubus gasped, her hands shaking. "No, that is not the law." But the sisters ignored her. They raised their hands, and the temple walls split apart. The floor cracked, and the night sky filled with fire. Henry stood at the center of the storm, his fists clenched, his heart steady. He did not know what the test would be. He only knew one thing: he would not let her suffer for his choices. The 3 sisters spread their wings wide, and the air grew heavy, crushing. The law of 3 gifts was not a bargain anymore. It was war. The ruined temple cracked open under the sisters' power. The floor split, flames roaring up from the earth, as if the city itself had awakened. Henry stood firm in the middle, though the heat stung his skin. The succubus, his succubus, was forced back, her hands bound by invisible chains of light. She struggled, wings thrashing, but the chains burned her wrists, keeping her from reaching him. The tallest sister's voice echoed like thunder. The human dared to ask for company, not power. He dared to fight without gifts. "Very well. Let the second gift test his heart. If he survives, he earns it. If he fails, you, our sister, are erased." The succubus cried out, her voice breaking. "No, punish me, not him." But the law was stronger than her plea. The fire on Henry twisted into shapes, forming creatures of ash and smoke. They had no eyes, no mouths, only burning hands and blades of flame. 10 of them stepped forward, circling him like wolves. Henry gritted his teeth. His pistol was useless against smoke, his knife little more than metal. He tightened his grip anyway. "So this is it? You throw fire at me, and I'm supposed to prove myself?" The sisters smiled coldly. "Not prove your strength, human. Prove your spirit." The first ash creature lunged. Henry slashed with his knife, but the blade cut only smoke. The fire struck his arm, searing him. He cried out, stumbling back. Another came from the left, its fiery blade cutting across his chest. Pain exploded, but he stayed on his feet. The succubus struggled harder against the chains, her crimson eyes glowing with panic. "Henry, you can't fight them like this. You'll burn alive." He spat blood onto the ground and glared at the fiery shapes. "Maybe, but I'd rather burn standing than crawl begging." The creatures circled, striking again and again. Each hit pushed Henry closer to collapse. His skin blistered, his breath grew ragged. Yet he refused to fall. Each time he was struck down, he forced himself back to his knees, then his feet. The sisters watched in silence, their eyes narrowing. Finally, one of them spoke. Why do you not beg for the gift? One word, and she could end this. Henry laughed through blood and smoke. Because if I take shortcuts every time life gets hard, then her gift means nothing. If she gives it, it'll be because I earned it, not because I cried for it. The succubus froze, her heart twisting painfully. She had been summoned 100 times, but never had anyone spoken of her gift like that. To others, her gifts were curses wrapped in beauty. To him, they were trust. Henry staggered again as the flame struck his back, dropping him to his knees. His body screamed to give up, but his will burned brighter. He forced himself upright, knife shaking in his hand, and then something shifted. The succubus's chains cracked, glowing red under her strength. She screamed, breaking free, her wings blazing with fire. She ran to Henry's side, catching him as he nearly collapsed. Her hands, though hot with power, felt cool against his burning skin. Enough! She shouted at her sisters, her voice shaking the ruins. He has proven more spirit than all the kings and warlords you once praised. Look at him broken, bleeding, yet standing. If that is not worth the second gift, then the law itself is blind. The sisters hesitated. Their laughter faded. For the first time, doubt flickered in their fiery eyes. The tallest raised her hand. The creatures of ash dissolved into smoke, fading back into the fire pits. The ground closed, the flames shrinking until only embers remained. Henry leaned heavily on the succubus, blood running down his arm, but his eyes still burned with stubborn fire. So, was that enough for you? The tallest sister studied him in silence before speaking. The second gift is earned. But beware, human. Each gift carries weight. Each bond pulls her closer to you and further from us. With the third gift, she will no longer be ours. And for that, we may destroy you both. The three sisters vanished into smoke, leaving only silence behind. The succubus lowered Henry gently against the temple wall. Her hands trembled as she brushed the blood from his cheek. You fool! You almost died. Henry smirked weakly. But I didn't, and I wasn't alone. She froze, staring at him. Her cheeks flushed again, her heart racing. No one had ever said those words to her, not as a partner, not as an equal. For the first time in her immortal life, the succubus felt afraid. Not of her sisters, not of the law, but of how much this human meant to her already. And outside, in the endless ruins, the circle pulsed once more, reminding them both that the final gift, the most dangerous of all, was yet to come. The ruins were quiet again, but silence no longer meant peace. Henry leaned back against the cracked stone, his wounds burning, his body shaking from exhaustion. The succubus crouched close, her hands pressed against his arm. A faint glow spread from her palms, easing the pain. Her healing touch was warm, yet her face was pale, troubled. Henry studied her carefully. You're afraid. She didn't deny it. Her crimson eyes shifted to the floor. I broke the law once, and now the sisters have bound me tighter. Every gift that binds me to you weakens me to them. With the third gift, she hesitated. I may no longer belong to them at all. Henry frowned. Sounds like freedom to me. But her lips curved in a bitter smile. Freedom comes with a price. If I choose you, they will come to destroy us both. Their power is vast. And you, Henry, you're only human. He chuckled dryly. Only human? You say that like it's a weakness. Her blush returned, unexpected even to herself. She turned away, wings trembling slightly. He had faced fire, bled for her, and still laughed. No one had ever done that, not kings, not generals, not the cruel masters who once summoned her for their greed. Henry pushed himself upright with effort, his voice steady. I've lost everything once. I'm not losing again. If they come for you, they'll have to go through me. The succubus's heart pounded at his words, and she hated how fragile she suddenly felt. She was supposed to be the predator, yet here she was, clinging to his strength like a shield. They left the temple before dawn. The circle's glow had spread across the ruins, veins of light crawling through the broken city like fire beneath the skin of the earth. The air itself felt alive, as though the circle waited for the final choice. As they walked, Henry asked, "What is the third gift?" She didn't answer immediately. Her steps slowed, and for once, she looked uncertain. Finally, her soft voice broke the silence. "The third gift is always the same. It is binding. Eternal, a soul's bond. It means I am no longer a creature of the circle. I become yours." Henry stopped in his tracks. "Yours, as in?" Her face flushed dark, almost glowing. "Do not make me say it, human." Henry raised an eyebrow. "You're blushing, the all-powerful succubus shy." She turned her back to him quickly, her wings covering her face. "Do not mock me. I have burned worlds. I have silenced armies. But this is different." Henry smiled faintly, though his heart weighed heavy. Eternal bond. That was no small choice. For her, it was chains or freedom. For him, it was trust beyond death. As they reached the edge of the ruins, a strange sound filled the air. Not whispers, not fire laughter. Cold, mocking laughter that carried on the wind. Henry tensed, pulling his pistol again. The succubus stiffened, her eyes narrowing. From the shadows emerged figures cloaked in black smoke, taller than any human, their faces hidden. They did not belong to her sisters, no wings, no fire. These were older. Watchers, guardians of the circle itself, one spoke, its voice like stone grinding. "The second gift is earned. The third waits. But know this, human, if you take it, you chain her to you. Her power becomes yours, her fate bound to your fragile body. And when you fall, she falls." Henry's jaw tightened. "So you're saying if I die, she dies too?" The guardian's faceless head tilted. "Yes, such is the law. 3 gifts, 1 bond, 1 end." The succubus stepped in front of Henry, her wings spread, eyes blazing. "Enough. I will not let your words scare him." But inside, fear gnawed at her. She hadn't told Henry that part. She wanted him to see her as strength, not as a risk. Henry touched her shoulder, steady. "Don't worry. I've been living with death chasing me for years. At least now, if I fall, I'm not falling alone." She froze, her breath catching. His words hit her harder than any chain. Her heart, once built from fire and shadow, felt fragile. Trembling. The guardians retreated into the mist, leaving their warning behind. The circle pulsed brighter, as though counting down. Henry looked at her calmly. "So the third gift. It's coming whether we're ready or not." She lowered her head, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, and once you ask it, there is no return." The ruins shook again, and the horizon burned with red light. The sisters were returning. The final gift was waiting. The ruins glowed red as the horizon cracked with fire. The sisters had returned. Their wings spread wide like storms in the sky, their eyes burning with rage. The air grew heavy, crushing Henry's chest, forcing his knees to bend. Even the stones trembled under their presence. The succubus stood in front of him, her wings flaring in defiance. But Henry could see it, she was trembling. Not from weakness, but from fear of what was coming. She had told him the truth. The third gift was not a blessing but a chain, binding her fate to his fragile human life. The tallest sister's voice shook the ruins. "The second gift has been earned, but the third shall not be yours so easily. Human, if you dare to claim her, you claim her death with your own. Will you condemn her to die with you?" Henry tightened his jaw. His arm still burned from wounds that had not fully healed. His body was weak, but his spirit was unshaken. He stepped forward. "If she chooses me, then she chooses freely. It's not condemnation, it's trust." The sisters hissed in fury, their voices like thunder. "Trust? Foolish word. She is ours. She was born in fire, forged in the circle. She was made to serve power, not companionship. You cannot unmake what she is. The succubus lifted her chin, her blush hidden behind her fury. I was born in fire, yes, but for the first time I feel alive beside him. If that is weakness, then I accept it. If that is betrayal, then I am guilty. Her sister's eyes blazed brighter. The circle beneath them pulsed violently, shaking the earth. From the cracks rose monstrous shapes, beasts of molten rock, with burning cores inside their chests. Their claws could cut through steel, and their roars shook the air like thunder. Henry pulled his pistol and knife, but he knew the truth. This was not a fight he could win by weapons alone. His breath came heavy, his wounds throbbed, yet his spirit held firm. He looked at the succubus. Tell me straight. If I ask the third gift, you'll be mine, and if I die, you die too. Is that right? She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Yes, that is the law. I should tell you not to ask. I should beg you not to chain me. But, she looked down, her voice breaking. My heart wants it. Henry felt something tighten in his chest. She was a creature feared across galaxies, yet now she looked at him as if he held her whole world in his hands. The beasts of molten fire roared, closing in. Henry could smell the heat, feel the ground tremble beneath their steps. He raised his pistol and shot, but the beams only slowed them, burning the surface of their rocky hides. His knife would do nothing against them, thought the tallest sister laughed. Do you see now, human? You cannot fight us. Claim her and die. Refuse her and live. Choose. Henry turned to the succubus. She knelt beside him, her eyes glowing red not with hunger, but with something softer, something almost human. Her hand reached for his. Henry, she whispered, her voice trembling. I don't care if it's foolish. I don't care if it means death. If you speak the words, I am yours, the beasts charged. The ground split, fire surging around them. The sisters' laughter echoed like thunder. Henry gripped her hand tightly. His body shook, his lungs burned, but his voice came steady and strong. Then hear me, I claim my third gift. I claim you, not as a demon, not as a weapon, but as mine. And I'll be yours, even if it kills us both. The circle exploded with light. The ground shattered, fire shooting into the sky. The beasts froze mid-charge, their molten cores cracking as the bond sealed. The succubus cried out as chains of light wrapped around her, then shattered, breaking forever. Her wings spread wide, glowing brighter than ever before, her body shining with new power. She had chosen, and the circle could not undo it. The sisters screamed in rage, their forms flickering as if the bond had weakened them. No. She was. Ours, she was fire, she was shadow, you cannot take her. But the succubus stepped forward, her voice strong, fierce. I am no longer yours, I am his. By the law of 3 gifts, the bond is sealed. Henry's knees buckled, the bond pulling at his soul. He felt her heartbeat inside him, felt her power thread into his veins. It was overwhelming, terrifying, and beautiful. The sisters roared one final time before vanishing into smoke, their laughter fading into the night. The beasts of molten rock crumbled into ash, their fire extinguished. The ruins grew quiet again. Henry dropped to his knees, gasping, his chest heaving. The succubus caught him, her arms wrapping around him tightly. Her wings folded around them both, shielding him from the fading flames. Her cheeks burned with color, her eyes soft as she whispered, You fool. Now our fates are one. You will never be rid of me. Henry managed a weak smile. Good. I wasn't planning on letting you go anyway. The night was still, but the bond pulsed between them alive, powerful, unbreakable. The third gift had been claimed, and now both human and succubus belonged to each other. But in the distance, far beyond the ruins, a darker shadow stirred. The law had been broken, and something older than the sisters had awakened. The true test was still waiting. The ruins were silent after the sisters vanished. The circle, once blazing with fire, now glowed faintly beneath the broken stones. Henry sat weakly against the wall, his chest heaving, sweat dripping from his face. The succubus knelt beside him, her wings folded around his body like a shield. Her touch was gentle now, no longer burning, but warm. For the first time since she was born in the circle, she was free. The bond had broken her chains. But freedom never came without a cost. A deep rumble shook the earth. Cracks spread across the ground, wider and darker than before. The circle pulsed again, brighter, fiercer. The air grew heavy with dread, thicker than anything Henry had felt yet. The succubus's crimson eyes widened in fear. "No, it's waking." Henry turned his head toward her. "What's waking?" Her voice trembled. "The keeper of the circle. Older than my sisters. Older than me. It is the one who enforces the law. By breaking the bond with them, by choosing you, I've called its wrath." The ground split open. From the fiery pit rose a shape too large for the ruins to hold. It was a giant of shadow and flame, its body made of black stone and molten veins. Its eyes burned white, like twin suns, and its voice shook the air. "Human, succubus, you have broken balance. You have mocked the law of gifts. For this, you both must be ended." The succubus pulled Henry close. "He is too strong. I cannot defeat him. Our bond gives us power, but against the keeper." Her words trailed into silence. Henry, bleeding and exhausted, still forced a faint grin. "We've already beaten your sisters. What's one more monster?" She stared at him, stunned by his calmness, then laughed softly through her fear. It wasn't courage she had given him, it was his own. And now, through the bond, she felt it in herself too. The keeper raised its molten arm, slamming it down toward them. The ground shattered, stone flying in all directions. Henry rolled aside with the succubus, the heat searing his back. "Can't fight this thing with a knife," Henry muttered, clutching the hilt anyway. The succubus stood, fire burning in her wings. "You don't have to. You fight with me now." The bond pulsed. Henry felt her power surge into his veins, filling his weak body with strength. His knife glowed red-hot, transformed by her energy. His pistol hummed again, not with its own charge, but with her fire running through it. Together, they faced the keeper. The giant swung again. But Henry darted forward faster than before, his blade slicing across its molten skin. Fire sprayed, the wound glowing, but the creature did not fall. It roared, striking again, forcing them back. The succubus unleashed her power, flames bursting from her wings, striking the keeper's chest. It staggered, but still stood tall, its voice like thunder. "You cannot win. One human. One broken succubus. You are nothing." Henry spat into the dirt. "Funny, that's what everyone's always said about me." The keeper swung again, but this time Henry didn't dodge. He raised his knife, glowing with their combined power, and caught the blow. The impact shook his bones, but he held firm. The succubus pressed her hands to his back, pouring more of her strength into him. Their hearts beat as one, their breaths matching, with a roar. Henry drove the blade upward, straight into the keeper's burning core. The giant screamed, flames bursting outward in a storm that shook the ruins. The heat was unbearable, but Henry refused to let go. The succubus wrapped her arms around him from behind, wings shielding him as they forced the knife deeper. The keeper's body cracked. Its white eyes dimmed. With a final roar, it collapsed into ash and molten rock, sinking back into the earth. The circle shattered, its glow fading at last. Silence returned. True silence. Not the heavy, watchful quiet of the circle, but peace. Henry dropped to his knees, panting, his knife clattering to the ground. The succubus knelt beside him, holding him close, her eyes shining with something more than fire. "It's over," Henry whispered. She nodded slowly. Yes, the law is broken. The circle is gone. We are free. For the first time in her immortal life, she felt tears burn her eyes. She brushed a trembling hand across his cheek. You foolish, stubborn human. You gave me freedom I never asked for, and now, I don't know how to live without you. Henry smiled weakly, his voice rough but steady. Then don't. Live with me. Her blush deepened, her wings folding tightly around them both. She pressed her forehead to his, her voice breaking into a whisper. Then we are bound forever. The night sky cleared, stars returning above the ruins. No whispers. No fire. Only quiet. A human and a succubus, two broken souls, bound together, had defied the circle itself. And somewhere in that endless sky, unseen powers watched, not with anger now, but with curiosity. A new story had begun, one that no law could bind.